Hello students, this is Veena, Assistant Professor in the Department of English, Institute of Aeronautical Engineer. Today I am here to talk about techniques for writing precisely. What are the techniques which are very useful for writing precisely? Precisely is briefly, to point, and with clarity, with specific idea. Writing is a skill which will enable us to learn grammatical structures, new words, and also gather and inform the information whatever we are aspiring our readers to understand. So, for that reason, it is very important for all of y'all to write precisely. If you are going on writing pages and pages without any relevance, it is not at all useful. So, for better understanding, always try to write precisely. So, today we are going to look into the techniques of writing the text precisely. Let us get started. Now, what is precise writing? What is it? What is its definition, purpose, and the method of the precise writing? First point, a precise, brief, and original summary of the important ideas given long selection. That is, it is very brief. That is, it is confined specifically to one element and it is written on a shorter note. We are not writing a long text. We are going to precise our topic briefly on whatever context we are writing. Next, the removal of all that is insignificant and inessential. That is, you are not writing that which is not at all relevant to the context. You are focusing on the main idea and also trying to cater to the needs of the main idea on which you are going to provide the information to the reader. So, precise writing is nothing but which is writing a brief note on the specific elements where you will stick around the same topic and provide the specific information to your reader. What is the purpose? What is the main purpose of this writing? Aims at intelligent reading, clear, accurate writing. It is going to give you a clear picture and also focus on accuracy. You are going to make everyone, that is the reader, give the clear picture of the information whatever you are trying to talk about. Here you are not going to move out of the box and talk about the events which are not at all relevant to the topic or the information which you are going to provide to your readers. So, its main sole purpose is to give clear picture of the ideas which you are going to render and also focus on the accuracy of that information. Next comes method. It well of precise writing and clear summary. That is, read your first copy carefully and rewrite it neatly. What is the method? You are going to read your copy and rewrite it precisely. That means you may make note of all the information, whatever comes into your brain. But you reread it and try to delete that which is irrelevant to that particular context. In a flow, we tend to use or we tend to talk about events which are not at all matching to the idea of our context. So, this way you will reread it and delete the information what is not relevant and make it precise with a new copy. This is the method of making your text more and more better. Next, writing precisely means to write in exact forms, exact terms without vagueness. That is, you are going to point exactly what is needed, what is going to be understood by the reader. What is that? Main focus is on the reader's attention towards that information. So, you are going to talk exactly what has to be rendered to the reader. Next, writing precisely and without ambiguity about complex topics is not easy. Of course, it's not easy because once when we pen down to write our thoughts, to write our expressions, to provide some information, we tend to write so much. We tend to gather a lot of information and try to put forward in that paper whether it is relevant or not. In the flow, we may not able to understand whatever we are talking is true or not. Is it related to the specific idea I mentioned? So it is very tough, but practice makes it perfect. So it is not at all impossible. It is possible to make your writing precisely and effectively. Now, here are some techniques for writing precisely. Now, we will learn about some of the techniques which are very, very helpful to us in making our writing precise. First one, use active voice. Active voice, subject, predicate and an object. You will directly talk about the object or provide information about the object in an active tone. That is, you will not make it a complex sentence. You will directly render or use active voice while writing your sentences. You will not see that your concentration move out of that particular situation and try to render your sentences with clarity in the active voice. Try to be clear, try to be specific in your tone while writing. Next, avoid vague forms. What is avoiding vague forms? Phrases formed around general nouns such as aspect, degree, situation, clutter sentences. That is, avoid vague forms. You are not going to make or write complex sentences which add vagueness to your writing. It must be written such that it is very easy to understood to the reader. Reader must be able to understand that very clearly. So, your formal way of writing in a very easy tone without having any vagueness or using complexity of sentences will not make the reader understand the context properly. So, try to avoid that vague forms, avoid that general things which will make the sentence vague. You will be using general nouns such as aspects, degrees, generally, which are commonly used and understood by everyone. Next, use words not their definitions. When you talk about some words, when you are adding some words in your text, don't try to give definitions. When you are using new words to provide some information to the reader, please don't tend to give definition to the words. Here your context is not providing the definition to the words which you have used. Here your context is to provide some information through those words. So, keep in mind, you are not defining every word, every term which you have used to provide the information in your writing. So, you will be just using the words, trying them to make the reader understand the basic situation of that context and make him understand the information provided in that particular writing. Next, avoid noun strings. What is that? Organize sentences to eliminate series of nouns used as adjectives. We tend to use adjectives as nouns and there is a lot of confusion. So be clear. Don't use the strings again and again, the noun forms. Try to be formal. Try to be free from the vagueness and be clear Be specific. Try to render the main idea. Don't go out of the focus. Have concentration. Have accuracy over the word and give the clarity in your writing. These are all the elements which are very helpful to you in making your writing precisely. Next, convert nouns to verbs. Try to convert nouns to verbs, the work which is done through the noun. For example, when sentence includes a noun ending in shun, mention, change the noun to a verb to simplify the sentence. Don't use more number of nouns. Using more number of nouns may confuse the reader. So try to change them into verb forms and show their action, show the purpose, show the relevance of using all those particular words. Next, reduce verb phrases and simple verbs. Don't ever concentrate to put on more number of action words or more number of action phrases, all those stuff. Try to be simpler. Try to be formal. Try to be specific. These are all the techniques which are very, very useful to make your writing precisely effective. Next, replace complex words with simple ones. So don't generate complexity in your work. Try to be as simple as the reader understands your tone, your seriousness and your attention towards their interest. Therefore, the reader will surely try to understand the concept, not the complex words. If you are using more number of complex words, he will not have the interest to read it because he is finding it tough. So try to use words which are simple and which are very formal and which are very specific. Next, include linking words for signposting. Try to include linking words to clarify or to show the efficiency or to improve your quality. It will help the reader in projecting the concepts, ideas in a clear format. Try to use link words. It will be useful to you in making it precise as well as make the reader easier, make the reader feel easy to read it and make it understand. Next, what is the strategy for precise scientific writing? You're all going to be future professionals. So, taking lot of time, sitting at a place, planning and writing in more number of pages will surely make you feel tedious. So, inculcate the habit of writing precisely. When you are preparing your documentation works or when you are giving a PPT presentation, try to write precisely such that your thoughts, your feelings, your expressions, your information, your understanding, your view towards other things will be rendered easily to your audience. Now, what is that strategy which will help you to develop writing precisely? First point, think precisely to write precisely. Yes, this is very true. Don't go in a broader way when you think, when some information has to be provided to the audience. You were given a topic. Think precisely. See that your ideas move around the main concept. Try to form the clear picture of what you are going to write. So, think precisely to write precisely. If you move out of the box and think in the broader sense, obviously you will be not standing in the position to provide the true information which you ought to be to the readers. So, think precisely, keep that all your ideas revolve around the particular information or the particular topic which is given to you. So, this is one of the most important aspect of the strategy which you all have to develop while writing precisely. Next, revise for precision. The biggest mistake you can make when striving for precision in scientific writing is trying to get your writing precise already in the first draft. You all think that we don't have much time, so let me finish it. You try to conclude your first draft. You try to make it easier and finish the task. No. Don't ever try to conclude with your first draft. Once the draft is made about the content or the thesis or the research work, try to revise it. Try to check the points and see whether the points which you have written are really made clear or really made specific and are really rendering the same information what I am going to provide it to the audience. Check all this. Try to focus fully on the contents as you draft. Try to not repeat the things again and again in the draft. Make it clear, make it specific, make it point to point and give a proper conclusion. So, the second strategy would be revise for precision. So, you will be deleting all the irrelevant aspects. You will be concluding it with specific information related sentences such that your objective to make your reader understand clearly is fetched. Next, utilize feedback. Now, don't ever feel shy to take feedback from your higher authorities or the people who guide you or your friends or your colleagues, anyone. Try to utilize the feedback. Try to show your draft to judge or to get feedback whether is it suitable to the needs of your information. Is your research work has that quality such that the reader is interested in it? Always try to take that feedback from the others such that you can make your writing precisely, effectively. One that is knowledgeable about your topic, probably because they work on the same or similar topic. Why the feedback is important? Because your profession, your friends, your colleagues may be working on the same context. Maybe they'll give you more helpful suggestions to make it more relevant and effective. So, take their feedback. Try to talk to them. Try to take information from them or try to ask their suggestion such that all those tips you can use in making your writing effectively. Next, one that doesn't know about the specifics of your topic, but they are researchers in the same or related field. Maybe your friends are not on the same platform. Maybe they don't know about the work which you have done, but they may have the idea or exposure of research skill writing, or they may have good expertise about the format of the thesis. So, whether your friends, your colleagues, whoever they are, whether they are on the same platform or not, try to take their feedback and make your writing effective. Next comes the key elements of précis writing. What are the key elements which will make your précis writing very, very effective and also very, very beautiful? First one, clarity. This is the most important element wherever, in whichever task you do. First, have clarity over your ideas. Have clarity over the information or the research work which you are going to do, such that you will have a thought of organizing a systematic way of planning to complete that particular research such that it will become more effective and render your needs. So have a clear picture. Bring clarity over your thoughts, over your ideas, over your planning of organizing the things more effectively, such that your passages will also render the same needs. They are put in a very organized manner. You are using proper words. All these things can happen only when you have proper clarity about the words. Next, improvisation. How can you improve your draft? Check for more number of examples. Try to read research works or anything which is related to your topic and try to improvise, giving it more examples, trying to explain the things with examples, such that when you are explaining something with examples, it creates impact on the reader and make him visualize the event clearly and understand the proper information which you are guiding him to understand. So here look, best examples of précis writing. You will see the authors have invariably improvised on the vocabulary. So you will focus on the vocabulary, what is used, how they are used, such that your précis writing will become more effective and improvised. Next, structure. When you study précis writing, samples with answers, notice how each of these examples of précis writing maintain a compact structure. Compact structure is a good, well-equipped structure of sentences with good grammatical sense as well as good vocabulary, and also rendering the information correctly, clearly around the main idea. See that your structure contains not only good sentence patterns, not only good vocabulary, but also has the same meaning as it has to be rendered to you. So structure is also one of the major element when you do your précis writing. Next, tips to remember during précis writing. What are the tips which you have to remember while précis writing? What are the tips? First one, make the précis 1/3 of the original passage in size. When you are writing précis writing, if you are taking a passage, see that you are making it 1/3 of the element of the original passage. That means you are not completely replacing the passage as it is. The size, the quantity of the passage will decrease to 1/3 of its original size. That means you are shortening it. You are briefing that text. Next, before writing your précis, make a list of important points you want your précis to cover. So, write bullet points which you want your précis writing to be covered with. See that you don't miss any of the important detail which you have to render it to your reader. So for that sake, you have to jot down the bullet points of the important elements of that text, such that you will make it specific and clear, and also do not miss any kind of important point. Next, try to retain and any statistics of figures mentioned in the passage. So, if some statistic is mentioned, you have to retain that same statistic. Don't ignore or don't miss that statistic analysis, because it is important. That is the reason it is mentioned in the passage. In the process of making your writing précis, shortening, don't remove all the statistical analysis. Don't delete them. Whenever a passage is giving you statistical analysis, try to retain them again in your précis writing, because it is the most important aspect. Maybe your idea is focusing on that specific statistic note. So, try to retain them. Next, always use indirect speech in your précis. You will not use direct tone or direct speech in your précis writing. Always use indirect speech, such that you are giving some information or you are telling some specific information about some invention or some research or about some topic. So be indirect. Don't talk directly with annotations, inverted marks. All this will confuse your press writing. So to shorten, to brief your writing, you are going to use indirect sentences, indirect speech. Next, now let us see the techniques of writing precisely. Let us analyze them. First point, what is precis writing? It is gist of a passage or comprehension in mentioning all the essential points and giving a basic idea of what the passage says is called precis writing. What is that? You are going to brief a passage or make it shorten, but providing all the main points of that particular passage with proper understanding is your precis writing. Now, what is the context? How is that you are going to write it? Should not be in first person. As I already told you, you should not use direct speech. Don't be the first person to talk or to provide information in the passage. So, you are not using any direct sentence. You will talk in a tone of indirect speech. Next, correct information. In the process of making your passage shorten or writing precisely, don't try to tend to use some informal or incorrect information. Try to put forward all the information which is true. Maybe along with some figures, along with some statistical analysis. Next, information in brief. Don't write about some small entity, defining it, analyzing it, understanding it, interpreting. No need. Be brief enough to specify the point. Be brief enough to give clear picture of the idea of your research. Next, completeness, clarity. Clarity and completeness in your paragraph. These are the most important elements in your writing skills. Not only precis writing, any kind of writing, narrative writing, expository writing, persuasive writing, any kind of writing, clarity and completeness. These are the two important characteristics to make your writing effective. Next, summary of the passage. Keep the tone formal. Never ever try to tend to talk in an informal way of writing. Don't do it. Whenever you are on a professional platform, it is better to inculcate the habit of writing formally, behaving formally. Your behavioral attitude, your speaking skills, your approach towards others formally will surely enhance your abilities in the professional growth. As professionals, be formal, speak formal, write formal, and try to behave formally in all the aspects of your professional growth for the betterment of your professional life. That surely makes you a better person and also impress the other people who are around you. Next, simple and easy words. This is the most important thing. Whatever you write, whenever you write, either you write a letter writing, either you write an article, either you write an essay, or you submit your dissertation or your thesis or a paper writing, any kind of writing, either it is a precis writing, it must be simple and it must be clear. Always use simple and easy words for the betterment and for the better understanding of your reader. Next, 5 don'ts of precis writing. What are the things you should not do while writing a precis writing? Point 1. Don't mention any additional information. Be specific. Talk specific. Work specifically. Be formal. Understand the situation around you. Try to pose the ideas which are relevant and which others are able to understand. So, don't talk much. Don't add more information in your précis writing. Try to be precise, but have accuracy over your thoughts, have accuracy over the main idea which you are going to keep or give to the other people who are reading your work. Next, don't write from the first person, I or we. We are not here to talk about anyone. We are not specifically mentioning a person. We have done some research. So, overall progress we are going to talk. So, don't give any scope to add direct speech. Try to be indirect. Try to give a tone which is very formal and which does not pose I or we. It must be an overall conclusion of the aspect or of the research you have done. So, we are not here to talk about me. We are not here to talk about you. We are here to submit an analysis of my research over certain things. So, here I am not talking from the first point of view. I am talking from the point of view of my research entity on the whole in a specified manner. So, this is the very important aspect which any person who is doing the précis writing must and should understand. Next comes, don't complicate it. Don't use complex sentences that which are not understood. Try to be formal. Try to be simple. Try to frame your sentences simple. Try to use linking words to show connection towards your information of the research. So, don't complicate it. Others are not interested in reading your content when you have written it in a complex form. They don't have time to open your complexities and understand them in detail. So, when your formal writing is simple, others have the interest of reading it. If something is complicated and ununderstood, it's not understandable, then they will just leave it there and then. No one will be reading your research work. So, don't complicate things. Try to make it clear, simple, precise, but with good quality and quantity. Next, don't address to wrong facts and figures. In a process of showcasing some evidence, don't just tend to take some wrong statistical analysis in adding your writing. Don't do that, because there are many people who have exposure towards your content in other forms. They may know about the content or information what you're talking. So, your way of showing wrong statistical analysis may ground you in the danger zone. So, to be frank, if you are very, very clear about that statistics, which gives the clear picture of your information, then only you will use it. If not, avoid wrong statistical analysis or any kind of assumptions towards any topic. If you are very sure about any entity which you are doing, then only provide the statistical analysis. If not, just leave it there and then and explain your point. Next, don't copy from the original. This is the most important thing students tend to do. They only try to copy from the original format. If you are taking a topic, if that is which is very popular or written by somebody else in a very effective manner, what do? We tend to copy exactly from it as it is. Don't do that. It leaves a bad impression on others that you are just a copycat. So, try to make your work original. Though you can take reference from that. Try to take reference. Try to understand the tone from the original text. But make it original through your own views, expressing your own thoughts, expressing your own visualization. So, these are all the important points you have to have in your mind to make your Prezi writing more and more better and effective. Next, list of Prezi writing rules. Now, let us discuss what are the rules which are very important to follow while writing Prezi. Point 1. Twice reading a passage. Before you start writing, read twice, if not thrice. Why? To understand or to get clear picture of the main idea of that passage. Once if you are reading it twice and thrice, you will form a general idea as well as you will understand the main intuition of content which is provided in that passage. It will be very helpful for you to develop your Prezi writing. Next, making a draft. Don't make your draft directly, the main draft. Try to make a rough draft of the elements which are very important from that passage. Pick the elements, try to make a rough draft before you make the main draft. Next, identify the purpose. What is the purpose? That which you are tend to write the Prezi. What is the main cause behind that Prezi writing? What is the clear idea in which you are expressing your thoughts? Next, analyze the main idea. Analyze is understand, interpret and analyze. That means think more in the way of making it more efficient. Analyzation must be done of the main idea. Next, focusing on the main ideas, find out the theme. Just focus and be concentrative towards the main idea of the writing, main idea of the passage. Don't tend to go out of the box and write something which is not at all relevant to that passage. If your Prezi is of the same size of the passage, then your Prezi writing is not countable. It must be 1/3 size of the original passage. So, focus on the main idea. Mention your expressions and thoughts clearly with a very simpler form in a very simple tone. Next, find out the theme. Find out the true theme which is being discussed in that passage. Next, give suitable title. First, start giving the suitable title to that particular Prezi writing from the tone of the real passage, the original text, and make a topic, make a theme, make a title to the Prezi writing which you are writing. Next, make use of formal language. This is the most important element which everyone has to remember. Don't be informal while writing or speaking. These are the two important perspectives which we have to remember in our professional growth. Be formal in writing as well as speaking. Either he is a friend, either he is your neighbor, either he is any of you who is very close to you. No, when you are on the professional ground, talk formally and write formally and inform things in a very specified and clear manner. Make indentation. Indentation means you are making a particular format with particular structure to start your writing. Next, follow up the same tense. If you are starting your Prezi writing in the simple present tense, you have to end up the same Prezi writing with the same simple present tense. You will not start with present tense and follow it with past tense and then conclude it in the future tense. No. Try to use only one kind of tense when you have, whatever tense you are started writing, just try to end up on the same note. You will not mismatch the tenses such that the reader will get confused whether it is past or present or future. So, when you are starting your content in one particular tense format, you will be continuing in writing the same tone and also ending up it in the same tone. Next, use your own wording. Be original. I say original. Remember this word. Be original. use your own words. Maybe it will be difficult while you start newly, but it will surely make you stand as a unique person in that group where everyone is copying. Try to be original towards your work. Try to be clear. Try to be accurate. Always be original and also use your own wordings. Next, use a third person pronoun. So, you will not use the direct sentence. You will not say I. You will not say we. You will say they. Or you will use any pronoun that is third person, third party. We will use not only indirect sentences, not direct sentences while writing the précis writing. Now, what are the mistakes in précis writing which you have to avoid? 1. Don't exceed the limit of 1/3 of the passage. I have already told you your précis writing must be 1/3 of the size of the original passage. Understand the limit of the words, how you are going to brief your content. Next, avoid copying and pasting in the original pasting in the original sentences. That is, don't copy and paste from somebody's from the same passage which is given. Try to make it original by replacing your own words, by replacing the sentences according to your understanding. You will not use the same words, same sentences which are picked from the original passage. Next, don't give personal opinions, comments and judgment. We are asking you to write precisely from a given original passage. So what is that you are going to do? You are going to understand the main idea of that original passage, understand the elements which have to be discussed and present it in a brief note or give a gist to that main idea. Here, no one is asking for your suggestion, no one is asking for your judgment or your opinion. So, don't try to convey your opinion or judgment or anything of your own. Try to project the same idea which is in the original text but in your form, in your tone. Next, prevent yourself to be subjective whether you agree or disagree with the author. Whether you like it or not, you are going to present the same subject, the same context of that passage. You are not going to change any of from the original passage. Next, don't build more than one paragraph. When you are doing a précis writing, just restrict yourself to one paragraph. Don't add more paragraphs or tend to write more number of sentences or tend to write more information which is gathered from outside, which is not at all relevant. It looks obscure. It looks vague. So, try to avoid all mismatchings. Try to be clear. Try to focus. Try to be accurate and try to be clear about all the information in a brief note which has to be 1/3 of the size of the original passage. Now, no permission to overwriting and underwriting. You are not going to overwrite or you are not going to under. That means it should not be less, it should not be more. It should be 1/3 size of the original passage. Next, never use either the first person or say. We have already discussed, never write from first person point of view. Next, don't include irrelevant or minute details. You are not going to include any information which is gathered from outside, which is not at all relevant to that particular context. Next, avoid using the short form of words. You have to be clear. You are not using any shortcuts. You are not using any WhatsApp language. You are going to write the full sentence but a simple sentence in rendering your message. Next, no grammatical mistakes allowed. Subject and verb disagreement. No grammatical mistake. Your way of projecting the structure of sentence with subject and verb agreement must be clear. There should not be any disagreement between the subject and the verb. Next, don't make use of informal words or slangs. Always be formal. Remember this word, formal. Try to inculcate the habit of being formal to grow in the professional world. Always try to use good quality in writing and speaking and be formal in all the entities to grow in your professional world. Next, précis writing conclusion. How is that you are end up the conclusion point of the précis writing? What is that you are going to do in the conclusion of the précis writing? What is that? First, shortening. First, you will shorten the text. Then, summarizing. Then, you will summarize the text. And paraphrasing. That means, you will sort it out in a step-by-step manner in the form of paraphrasing are all techniques used in précis writing to check your reading skills. Now, what are the steps? Shortening, summarizing and paraphrasing. These are the three elements which you will follow in the conclusion of your précis writing. Next, for starters, necessity both our reading and writing abilities. So, these are the very, very important aspects. As I already told you, reading is the input which provides output as writing. So, when you are good and have good techniques in reading skills, obviously you will develop good techniques in writing strategies and also in the writing methods. These both will move on the same platform. So, when you start reading, start writing. When you start writing, try to revise with reading and then represent your ideas. Next, second, it begins by concentrating on the important points and skipping over the minor details. We can skip over the minor details and project our concentration completely on the major details which are very, very important in that context of writing. Next, third one, necessitates the use of exact authors to distinguish between relevant and irrelevant information. Try to project the same relevant idea which the author has projected. Whether you feel it as relevant or irrelevant is not considerable. You are going to project the same ideas as it is, but in your tone with new words framing in a good structure. You are not going to make any changes in your précis writing. You are going to replace the original text in your tone, in your way of understanding. That's it. It's a relevant one, it's an irrelevant one. It's not important there. So, always try to replace the same idea of the author which is mentioned in the original paragraph. Then, conciseness and brevity. That means concise your text and be brief. These are the two important elements which will surely help you in making your précis writing better. Always remember, writing is the most important skill which will also make you good in the communication skills. It will help you enhance your language. It will help you enhance the structure phrasing of your language. When you can write well, you can also speak well. So always remember, in your professional life, be formal, be clear, be specific and provide accurate information according to the matching of the time and the situation. If you develop this kind of attitude and behavior, for sure you will excel in writing as well as speaking. So, always try to inculcate the habit of writing in different forms, in different strategies. That's the way you will improve your writing skills. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.